Chats with the Paladin. Today I am yet again joined by our co-founder Vladimir. Hi, thank you for joining me again. And we have something a bit different for you today compared to our last two episodes. You might have noticed that the Paladin app generally tends to have more historical figures from the past and only a couple that are a bit more recent. And I think one of our most recent figures is John F. Kennedy.
One of my favorite stories, by the way. Congrats. And I think you did an awesome job with that one.
Thank you. We did try a different type of approach when writing this one to have it be non-linear and present more of his presidency and everything surrounding his story rather than go biographically. John F. Kennedy is, after all, one of the most famous presidents.
Indeed, yes.
Partially due to the tragedy that took him too early, but also because of how his presidency changed how technology is used during presidential campaigns and even during presidencies. How do you feel that technology impacted his presidency along the way?
Well, I think the phrase that you used in the app is he's the first TV president.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was so well put. So I think technology matters more and more. So yeah, in the past, I don't know, not a lot of changes happened in the communication technology. I don't know, between the age of Caesar and Napoleon. Yeah. Maybe you have the printing press in the middle somewhere, but more or less same old.
It was hard to get info to the masses that fast, and with how technology evolved, and of course they had radio, and then they had TV, and I think John F. Kennedy started the whole use the media to your own advantage to the fullest. We do know that he had a bit of a TV persona, so to call it, and he was indeed the first television president. But what really changed the game for him was his debate with Nixon. And since TV was still quite new, both of the mediums that were popular at the time were used, with the radio and TV. Why do you think Kennedy managed to win people over with the television?
Yeah, I think he understood the medium better than Nixon. A phrase that is popular that I quote from all the time is, the medium is the message. And clearly Nixon approached it as a radio interview, which is how, I don't know, he won election prior to Kennedy. And Nixon has a very, I don't know, strong voice and very rehearsed messages. So, I mean, if all you had was an audio feed, I think Nixon did pretty great. But once you put a camera on the individuals, everything changes. And I think Kennedy came up as more relaxed. Understand, like Nixon sweated a lot.
Yeah.
He wasn't familiar with all the lights being thrown at him. So yeah, all in all, I think Kennedy played the medium better than Nixon, and that's why he won. But it's interesting. I think the medium is the message. It's something that I keep referring to.
Yeah, this quote from Marshall McLuhan is one of your favorites, and we do know that you also teach business strategy. And for those of us that listen to us and they're not familiar with this idea and this quote and what it truly means, can you explain it a bit more?
Yeah. So our intuition says that if there's a new medium of communication, we take the old messages and we just put it into the new technology. So we have the same topics that we always discussed And whether we put it on a newspaper, or we use the radio, or we put it on the TV, it's the same message, right? And what Marshall McLuhan postulates is that no, the medium of transmission is more important than the message. And actually, in time, the medium transforms the message to the point where, I don't know, it's unrecognizable for the people that were familiar with it previously. So, for example, let's take cinema. I think it would be a very good example. So when camera was invented for the first time, what was the camera used for? It was used to film theater plays.
Yeah.
The idea was like, we're gonna take this new invention, we're gonna put it in front of I don't know, the actors on stage, and the camera, it's gonna be a way for the poor people to experience stage plays, because it was kind of a bourgeoisie type of thing to go to the
Not
theater.
everyone afforded to go.
And I mean, that was what the invention was, where we're gonna take the old message, meaning the stage play, and we're gonna put it in this new medium, which is the camera. And it took a few decades of transformation before someone was like, we can move the camera. Like, oh man, we shouldn't be using the stage all the time. You know, you can take the camera and put it outside. And there's the famous movie of the train entering into a station, which, I don't know, when it was shown into a cinema for the first time, people thought that actually a train is gonna come and hit them. And then you get to Hitchcock, where I don't know, you focus the camera on one specific element, like the scene in Psycho with the knife and to drive tension. So right now, if you are to look at the modern movie, it looks nothing like a play. And you could say that the movies that we have right now are so influenced by the technological medium, that the input, the message, is just a spark. So I guess it's the same thing with politician. I mean, a politician that will shine on TV probably cannot translate that to a new medium like the internet.
Well, we made it.
Come back here.
Little friend. The medium indeed changes how people are supposed to tell their message and how things are being said, and how we said, like, how technology evolves, things change and improve, and everything goes on. And when we look down history and presidential candidates and even presidents themselves, there are like notable presidents that we can name and see like how they use the new medium into their advantage. Even before Kennedy, we had Franklin Roosevelt. He turned radio into something he used to connect with the people, and until then,
Churchill on the other side of the pond. Like, radio won the war.
It really did. And even further in Japan, when the emperor first spoke on radio, everyone was shocked. So
especially it happened after the two nuclear bombs. For the Japanese, I'm not sure which one was the bigger shock, hearing the emperor or hearing about the surrender.
It is very interesting, that thing, because some argue that the actual act of hearing the emperor was what shocked everyone back then, because like they didn't see him, they didn't hear him. So for them, like the part with the radio came a bit later when it came to important figures. But Kennedy took the TV and made it work to his charms, because he was a very charismatic president. He had this persona of like young, healthy, charming guy, and it translated very well on screen.
And what's most remarkable, and this comes from your story pretty well, it was all a facade. I mean, like, he wasn't very healthy.
Yeah, no,
I
he
mean, he
wasn't.
was young, but he looked younger, let's say.
Yeah,
So yeah, that speaks a lot to how well he understood the medium. I mean, like I don't know the guy. I wasn't
yeah,
alive when
yeah,
he did his thing, but I assume he got into a role when he heard like camera rolling. He was transforming
yeah.
himself into like a political beast made for TV.
Yeah, in a way, he put an act, like he transformed. He had a role, had to play, and further down the line, Bill Clinton and like Ronald Reagan also used this
Yeah, yeah,
this sort of showbiz kind of
yeah.
well part, because like they continued the legacy in a way. They started using TV more. They ended up going to late night TV to connect with the people, and cable news became like a big thing when presidents like came and talked. And we see this uh, slow evolution
Yeah,
with the medium and the message that people also stay through it, because like everyone changed their tune as technology evolved.
you have Reagan and now like Trump. I mean, like Trump. Most people know Trump from the TV
Yeah.
show. Like, how was it called?
I
Uh,
think it was we had like a law one.
yeah, whatever it was called.
Yeah,
But
from his TV show, like where people first got to know Donald Trump from his TV show, and that's why people were probably so comfortable with him, because like they knew him and he was charismatic. He could play the TV well,
yeah, yeah,
and
he was on all the. I mean, like I Trump did all the late night show from the 80s. I mean,
yeah,
you have him being interviewed by Oprah in the late 80s. So yeah,
yeah,
he was a TV superstar before running for president. So
yeah,
you could say Trump is the last example of this TV transformation. Although recently the, the the most recent presidents have been playing with different technologies as
yeah,
well. I mean, like you have Obama, who probably played the social media game very, very well. I mean, he was the Facebook president, and
yeah,
he showed how to use social media to to win in politics. And most recently, I don't know, you have like the influencer culture, or the podcast,
yeah,
and
and everything. It's Obama was like how JFK was the first with the TV to use it. Obama used the
mhm.
internet, and it, he probably saw the potential of the medium, adjusted his message, and went further. And now we're still in an internet
Mhm.
era, like you said, with social media and podcasts and everything. And this counts a lot when politicians want to attract like their younger fan bases, because
Mhm.
as much as a lot of people are connected with the internet, the traditional media still plays quite a big role. And I think
Does it though? Because one of the things that
sometimes,
that I have a lot of favorite quotes,
oh,
and one other quote that I like a lot is that in terms of strategy, the strengths and weaknesses um, are part of the same coin, are the two sides of the same coin. So what makes something super super powerful includes the weakness. We talked about it when I don't know, when we were discussing like Armenians and
yeah,
the betrayal of the Romans. So I think it's the same with TV in a way, because what made a person like Kennedy or like Reagan successful with mainstream TV is the exact same reason that someone like Kamala lost the election. Because when you have this mainstream media where everything is like rehearsed and everyone looks great and everything is edited,
yeah,
which is kind of like where the TV went, you have this mainstream media apparatus, then that might be seen as a little bit, I don't know, false, not as authentic and stuff like that. And you can see how the influencers are going to the moon and everyone has a podcast. And if you really want to reach the audiences in a very raw, authentic way, you have to sit and resist a 4 or 5 hour interview with Lex
Rogan.
Friedman or Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what makes you a politician. Sit with Joe Rogan for 7 hours.
And speak about
Aliens
I
and
mean,
all
yeah,
sorts of crazy shit. And that's
yeah,
what like maybe the TV is evolving into. And if you go to MSNBC and you answer, I don't know, 5 rehearsed questions, you might be just as great as JFK, but the times they are changing, and that's no
yeah.
longer the case.
It's with how much technology we have now, like it's right, like times are changing and things are going in different ways. And if you, as a politician and future president, so to say, if you want to be visible, you need to touch all of the mediums and adjust your speech to each of them and how you connect with people. Because with traditional media, there are still people who follow it, but this is generally like the older generations. They're comfortable with it and they trust it more. But if you're trying to reach the younger ones, middle-aged, and even like truly young voting bases like Gen Z, you need to be on TikTok, you need to go on podcasts, you need to know how to play this space as well. And it makes you more likable. Like we're saying, it makes you easier to reach, more personable. It seems unrehearsed and real. And I think this is what helped a lot of presidents down the line when they adjusted to their mediums. And like the change was that they seemed more real to the people who were also learning the technology.
Of course.
And even with TV, it's still somehow rehearsed, and everyone knows what they have to say when they have to say it. Camera, lights, action, right? But someone like JFK, I think, couldn't have done that well in today's media landscape.
Oh, probably yes. I would say that if JFK was alive, he would probably be again with the same tactics. He would be considered like fake, made up character, not as trustworthy, artificial, probably. But for the 60s, it was amazing. It was a breakthrough. No one saw that coming, right? But yeah, times they're changing, right? What worked in the 60s probably wouldn't work today, and I'm sure like how politicians are winning elections today will not work 10 years from now. Times are changing, but they're also changing super fast, and technology is the main amplifier in the realm of politics. And let's think about AI. Like how will this change with AI? Like we see like Trump embracing crypto and I don't know, spreading tokens, leaving aside the legality of it all. But once you have, I don't know, millions of people who are stakeholder in the presidency, whatever that means, does that change? Probably that changes a lot of things.
It is a medium that we'll have to keep our eyes on and see how it evolves and how the message that they use evolve. And a good way to see how this goes is to keep an eye on present and past things, keep an eye on history, learn as much as you can, and that's why we invite you to use the Paladin app.
Which is also a good example of the medium being the message, because our app is on mobile, and because it's on mobile and we have to deal with short attention span, we have an app that is short, punchy, interactive, and funny, hopefully in some areas. So yeah, I think we're we're an example.
Yeah, we're also an example of adapting and giving people the sort of message they need to hear in the medium that they're most comfortable with. If you found what we talked about today interesting, we invite you to download the Paladin app, do the JFK story to find out how much TV helped him and his campaign, and to let us know in the comments if you want us to do other presidents and how they have shaped their message through the media. Any other suggestions you may have, please also leave them there. And if you have any questions for myself or Vladimir, we'll be happy to hear them, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.